What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Steep Stuff Podcast. I'm your host, James Lariello, and today I'm bringing you guys something so special, none other than Colorado Springs running legend himself, Mr. Dan Vega joins us on the podcast. I'm so excited getting to finally chat with Dan. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that name, maybe that don't live outside of the Colorado, or maybe that live outside of the Colorado Springs area, Dan is a community member. He's a legend. When I say legend, he's been involved in the Colorado Springs and really greater Colorado and Mountain West running community since the 90s, when he ran some of his first races in the Pikes Peak Ascent and others. Dan has a storied career with races like the Pikes Peak Ascent, the Kendall Mountain Run, the San Juan Solstice, the Leadville 100, and plenty of races. Like I said, one of the reasons why I was really excited to talk to Dan is just, he's a legend of the game. He's a legend of the community. If you live in Colorado Springs and don't know that name, you absolutely should. He's awfully famous as well for his Dan Vega Strava segments that you might see on Strava all over the place, all over the Springs. Yeah, what a good dude. And so many interesting stories from training with Matt Carpenter over the years. To racing Matt Carpenter, just so much interesting stuff. It was a genuine pleasure to finally get to chat with him, and I can't wait to have him back on for more stories and to see what he's got planned for coming up the pipeline. So, guys, I hope you enjoy this one. Like I said, this is a personal favorite of mine, none other than Dan Vega.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Dan Vega, welcome to the Steep Stuff Podcast, my friend. How are you?
Thank you, James. Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How's your winter going? Getting off to a good start, or?
Not too bad.
Yeah.
As long as it's not too much snow, it's not too bad.
Yeah, man. I feel like it's been a mild winter here. Like I told you this before the pod. We just moved from Monument down here into the Springs, and it's a little bit warmer.
It is.
I like it, man.
You get a lot more snow up there.
Yeah, you do. You do. It's crazy. But yeah, it has been a mild winter here, so it's been nice for some winter running and just building fitness for the summer. So
True. It's more the ice is the problem.
It's true.
I mean, deep snow. I've done all that back in the day with Matt and all those guys, but
yeah, it's crazy. So, you know what? I introduced you. Let's talk a little bit about your background. Maybe talk a little bit about yourself.
I have 3 kids, 4 grandkids, divorced live with my girlfriend just right up by Bear Creek. I work at Brown Shoes. Been racing since 4th grade.
Wow.
So long history of that stuff. And I still can't stop. Still want to keep getting to a level much more than whatever I've done. Dream was to go to the Olympics. Didn't know there was other stuff beyond that. Obviously that didn't happen. So still going.
Wow. Let's unpack that a little bit. Are you from the Colorado Springs?
From California.
What part?
Clovis.
Oh, nice.
Fresno, Clovis.
What brought you out here? What got you in the Springs?
Adams State College.
Okay. You ran there?
I did run there later.
Yeah.
I went to junior college, then went to the Marines, and then came back. And a friend that I raced against high school, it was a year behind me, but he's a year older than I am. He went to junior college one of the years I was there. And after that, I went to the Marines, and then he went to a 4-year NIA college, Fresno Pacific. And then he had never lost a race there, went to nationals and lost to 3 Adams State guys. So it made him go to there. And then Coach Vigil was the Olympic coach in 88, and then later in 2008. But he went there, and when I came back, he had some problems with a woman, and he came back, and he wanted to come back. But he just left school, didn't say anything to Vigil, and just left. So he was always questioning about wanting to go back. And he said, you want to go there? We can train, whatever. So we headed to Alamosa. And then for a little bit, he was worried about going there. So we went to Westerns, so to Gunnison.
Yeah.
Which, I knew nothing about the colleges. And he said, nah, okay. We even rented a trailer. We never went to it, never paid it. So he said, let's just go to Alamosa. And that's how it all started. And then Vigil told me, you need to go back to school if you want to be trained. Because otherwise, I was just going there to train.
Yeah.
So. And
what was your emphasis? Was more of a track distance, or were you chasing cross country? Like, what were you?
Steeplechase.
Okay, you're steepler. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Much better in the steeplechase than cross country.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the barriers were like an equalizer to anybody else.
Dude, it's so interesting to me. I talked to so many like Joe is a steepler. Like, so many steeplers are very good at trail running. And I don't know if obviously it's difficult, but like if it's that something with biomechanics and like muscularity is a little bit different. I don't know. Like it's very interesting to me. Well, a lot of them are always very dominant. Like I just had Ruby Lindquist, who's a new North Face athlete on the podcast. She's from Alaska, and another steepler. Like everybody's a steepler. So it's interesting.
Grayson Murphy.
Grayson's a steepler. Yeah. It's amazing. Okay. So college in Alamosa, you ran there, the steeplechase. And how did you like actually, how about this? Before I ask about the trail running question, why don't we back it up and talk about your Olympic aspirations and like what you wanted to do with that? Like for,
I mean, the dream was to go to the Olympics, not realizing road racing and all that stuff. It was just that little straight dream to go to the Olympics. Nothing else. Really thought about doing anything else. No aspirations of careers. Just wanted to run. But didn't realize all the other things to keep running. Because if you don't make it in track,
oh yeah, it's
what
a
else
tough
is
business.
there? I mean, when you think about it, and then all those other things opened up.
Yeah, now, especially like decades ago, there's no podcast. There's no ways to diversify yourself. It's either you figure out how to run and be better than everybody else, or you don't go. It's kind of it was a much harder track in a lot of ways. Pun intended, track. So what was your time like in Alamosa? What was that training all about? And, did you meander on any of the trails in the San Luis Valley, like up into the Sangres, or was it more so just focused on training?
I would go run up some of do parts of the 14ers, not necessarily to the top. I never made it to any of the top while I was there. Otherwise, sometimes during the summer, I'd go do like, I think I did 3 in a row. So it was like 22 miles, 20 miles, 18 miles, like in a row like that, but never made it to the top. Didn't know really anything much about trails because where I came from, there was really nothing.
Yeah.
Alamosa didn't have any, even though we have the sand dunes and that stuff. So that's kind of how that started.
It's a beautiful place, a small town, cool little small town.
Very small, but it's changed a lot.
Even now you think it's changed. Oh, well, I guess it's very commercialized. I mean, every time I've driven through in the last few years, it's just a pit stop on the way to the Sangre or to, the Sangres or the San Juans, depending on where you're going, it's, but it is a neat little town. And it's funny. You drive past and you're like, wait a second, there's a college here. Like it's cause it's
you wouldn't know.
Such a tiny area. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Jackson Cole. He's a La Sportiva teammate of mine. He went to Adams State and ran there. And, I can't remember. He might have coached there for a little bit as well. But yeah, I mean, a lot of great runners. Matt Daniels, a lot of people have rolled through there over the years.
Yeah, Matt, I know rolled.
Yeah. So, all right. So cool experience in Alamosa. How did you find the trails then? Like what got you discovered as far as like your first trail race? Because I mean, in the research that I did on you and from people that I've spoken to, and we could talk about, as well, like you're a huge member of the Colorado Springs running community. Like everybody has told me like, you got to talk to Dan. So, what got you into trail running all the way back in the 90s?
Let's see, 94, I moved to Colorado Springs. And I had left Adams, but I wasn't competing in 94. I was done in 93. So I just started running around, and then heard of Pikes Peak, the Ascent. Did that the first year, and that just went terrible. Like I could run just because I was not too far out of college. But I did the Triple Crown, signed up for that. I think I ended up like 50th overall. I think I ran 320 in my first ascent. The first 2 races were pretty good, shorter. It's a lot easier. And then I think that might have been my first real trail race. I mean, I did some when I was in Clovis or Fresno, but it's like dirt road. I mean, it's not
California carpet.
Not like, and it's all flat.
Yeah.
Nothing like mountains.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. And I have to say, like, out of the research that I did, man, like you might have the greatest like turnaround out of anyone else. Like you went from, did you get second the year after? I had something like that. Yeah. It was like, we were 26 years old. So it would have been 95. Okay. And huge turnaround. Like, did you just train your ass off like the year after and start figuring it out? Or like what changed?
I went from running 20 minutes a day in 94 and going off of, it's almost like you have an attitude when you're running. I figure I was better than everybody else because I just came from out of state. I was still very fast, at least in my mind, and things were really good. I mean, I could do a lot of things here. And then after I fell apart in 94, I mean, that was very sad. I mean, that was very humbling. 95, I would stick to like 25 miles. I was doing 25 miles a week, not 20 minutes a day. And had a friend, Ken Romero, so he would pick me up at work. So I worked at Payless.
Okay.
So on those days, I'd have to open and then close it because I would leave during the middle of the day. We'd drive up to Elk Park. We'd run down, run up to the top, is what Matt used to do later when I used to run with Matt, and do that all the time. Probably once a week for maybe, I don't know, a couple months. And then when I was down here, I never touched Spar Trail, never ran on the trail there. I would just run around. Mm-hmm. So for whatever reason, my son was born in May of that same year. Maybe the mental side of that. Yeah. My first boy kid. I have a daughter that's a little older. I don't know. There's just something about that day. And then the races I did the classic 10K. I think I ran 32 something.
Damn.
And then Garden 10 mile, ran 54, 55. So I was racing Andy Ames. Do you know that name?
No.
So he's a little older than I am. He had just won the Triple Crown the year before and ran 2:12 the year before. Okay. So the race started out, I just took the lead right from the gun and running up the road. And then Michael Tobin, so he was the world duathlete champion at the time. And then I started having some side cramps and he pulled away. So then I was by myself a little bit. Then Andy went by and then I was by myself the whole time. Never saw anybody behind me.
Oh, man.
And I didn't see them. Andy somewhere out of tree line. So at A-frame, after you get out of the little trees right there, you can see farther up. And Andy was just so far away up there. And it's like, you're never going to think you're going to catch him. I caught him, I think the last aid station, there's like a rock face where you run through the rocks a little bit. Yeah. A little over a mile to go. Caught him there and got 7 minutes on him to the top.
Damn.
So luckily he died.
Yeah, he imploded.
Yeah. But I think Tobin ran 2:11 or 2:12. Yeah, and then I ran 2:18.
Yeah. That's an amazing time, man. Good for holy shit. Like that was, that's an absolute standard. Even in like that would have gotten, what did Joe run last year? That would have been easily top 5 this year again. So yeah.
Always depends on the year.
Yeah. That's true. Pressure. There's a lot that goes into it. But that's crazy. And you've had, how many times have you run the race? It's got to be over a handful of times, right? Like
maybe
close to
15, maybe?
Is that what it is? Oh, wow.
I think.
Okay. Wow.
But I've only had one good one.
That was
it.
That one was amazing. Dude, I think you also had another top 10 or a couple top 10s, right? As well. Like you had an
time-wise, nothing close.
Oh, yeah. Well, 2:18.
2:30 something, I think, was the closest I ever got after that.
Wow.
Now, why didn't I get even close to that?
You know what? You're so interesting to me because in the research that I did for you, like, not only a lot of people just will have success in the sport and then something will change in their lives and they just give up and they're not interested in it anymore. You're one of the few people, and I hope to be like this, and I hope this inspires others to be like this, is like, you're really stuck with it, man. Like you it seems like you absolutely love this and it's something you love to do. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you don't meet too many people that like will have success and then, you know, you've had success even into the masters category.
Like I said, as a kid, you just think about the Olympics, but when you don't know anything else, that is the only thing to strive for.
Yeah.
And I've just never stopped wanting to run. Sometimes it's been hard. You know, sometimes you're gifted to not have injuries or have those problems. I was never focused on a career, which is not good at the same time to a point. And it's just something that's always like, it's what I am. I mean, people don't know me much beyond that. Most of my friends are all basically runners. Nothing much more. Like, I worked at Runner's Roost. The two owners are Olympians. So everything is so focused about running. Mm-hmm. My kids ran a little bit, actually all three of them. Didn't stay with it, and just that drive to want to get that goal. Since I didn't I not get close to the Olympics, but try to make the trials a few times. Yeah. In the marathon. But it's just that focus of wanting to make something of myself, a bigger name than whatever name I have or had. And then masters, like, it didn't make any difference when I hit 40, because I could still run in the sense just as good. Like, when I did Leadville, I was 38. You know, I've won some races over 40, run some races over 50. If I can stay focused to running, that makes a huge difference. And a long time ago, Matt told me, just run consistent. If you got to at least run 10 minutes a day. So I just took that to heart when I tried to make the trials once, or the first time. So there was times I run in my basement for 10 minutes, just downstairs, or go run at night when the kids would go to sleep. So a lot of my runs were at 11 o'clock at night, a minute before 12 o'clock. So I can count it as that day. And just that mindset of that got me through. Now, to run a farther distance, didn't have the endurance necessarily. Sometimes you can get away with the mind over the body. So yeah. I've never wanted to stop. Got into some Spartan races. With the resume I sent them, they let me in the elite races. So I did some ultras, and then I did a beast. But I've been in the top 10. I've never been out of the top 10. I think I've been 9th is the worst.
Wow.
And then 3rd on one of them. So
that's crazy, man. The Spartan races are dope. I've only ever did one. I did a 5K in Florida like years and years and years ago before I really got into running. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was fun. It was cool. It's different. Like, I didn't really like jumping in the water, and like, it's from Florida. It's disgusting water. I mean,
it's very
you're going to get like a brain amoeba or something.
If you're not the leaders, it's worse.
Oh yeah. That's an amazing story. Can you talk a little bit about, I know you had mentioned it now, your time training with Matt, because Matt Carpenter is one of the greatest to ever do it, is a giant in the sport. Everybody talks about him. I've only had the pleasure of, I think I've met him twice. Like, what is that like training with him? Like, was he like just the most, like, I'll let you say it. You tell me.
Probably no one's more focused, driven, methodical on everything he did. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And after I ran 218, I figured when he would retire, I would take over, in the sense of like be the next Matt. He never retired till in his mid 40s, so that didn't happen. And I didn't get any better as far as that stuff. But we'd go do repeats together, doing that elk park. Like, it was always be me and him by ourselves when we get to bar camp, and then slowly over time he would pull away, especially when it got higher. It's like didn't have a problem with altitude. It's like it would get easier for him and harder for everybody else.
Interesting.
And and then I had kids. So sometimes my kids would just hang out at his house while we go run, and then we get back and he would make some food. It'd be like a bag of vegetables. He'd put in the boiling water with some pasta, have some ice cream. That's what he ate all the time. Sometimes I'd have to pick him up because he didn't drive at the time. He had, I think rolled a car at one point and stopped driving. So everything was running. We'd drive everywhere. Sometimes we'd go to like the U.S. mountain running snowshoe champs. It was $5,000 for first. We took him up there, and his back was hurting. I just remember that. And I gave him a pill. I think it was Aleve. He doesn't really take anything. So I gave it to him, and later after he won, he was peeing blood.
Oh my
So
God.
he said, I'm never going to take any of that stuff from you again. But just, it was amazing to run with him. And every time he would always tell me something like, do this, do that, or, watching him run over the rocks or the turns. And he would mention those little things, this angle, that angle, step here, don't jump over it. And there was times when we'd be running downhill and he'd slip and fall, like in the snow. He'd slide. I mean, it seemed like there was one time he was going to hit a rock with his face, just missed it, got up, took off, and just flew. And I'm trying to keep up with him. It was so hard because when he falls, he will get right up and go, unless you break something or whatever, to get that adrenaline going to where you can just keep going. I mean, it was just amazing. And he was always encouraging. He played with my kids, spun one of my kids off his little spinny chair, and the kid fell off.
Oh my God.
And he had moved into this place where he kept all the furniture and all the little stuffed animals. So he'd give my kid a stuffed animal when we'd visit and stuff like that. So great guy.
Competitive wise, is he like the most competitive person you've ever been around? Like, see, he's psycho in that
In
sense?
the world of that, yes.
Yeah. What's he like training with? Like, is he competitive? Was he competitive like on training too? Like, how was that?
No, because you have to be able to run with him.
Right.
How can you be competitive if you're...
Has he ever tried to would you guys ever try to drop each other and like do shit like that, or no?
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Like we come down Pikes Peak and then you go up the little part where the parking lot is, where the race bar trail finishes. Like we'd do sprints up that, and it's like, I just couldn't get him. And sometimes we'd run on the trails. I mean, his stride was bigger than mine up going on some of the hills. I mean, he's little compared to I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, anything like that. Yeah. And in general, I couldn't match everything he could do anyways.
Yeah.
But if you do like a sprint, I mean, it's a competition to a point because, you want to beat him.
That's so interesting to me because, you got to remember, like, to people like to my generation and even like mountain running as a whole, like he's looked up to as this like legend. Like no one really knows him, right? So it's all stories of like this legend, and it's just interesting to me to hear that he lives up to every inch of like what people say. It's pretty cool.
Like if you could talk to him about all that stuff,
I would love
even
to.
the Leadville part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, he, like in 94, I did the San Juan 50.
Yeah.
And I'm there eating at the pasta thing, and he shows up. Like you could enter the race right then, which is amazing. You can't do that now. Yeah. And he shows up, and I'm thinking, oh, crap, Matt's here. So we go, and at the beginning, we miss the very first turn just out of town. Not that it made any difference. We went one block farther because we were in front of everybody, and they turned, and we just turned, and then we met up. But after a little while, he was gone, and I was by myself. And then I just really fell apart that day. And then and then in 2005, I won. I was supposed to go do Leadville. I had some friends pay for me to run in 2004, Paul DeWitt and a bunch of other guys.
He was a winner. Yeah.
Yep. So I wasn't sure if I could run 100 miles anyways, but one of his pacers couldn't make it. So I said, Paul, I'll pace you if you want. So we agreed to that. And then that's when he set the record. Matt fell apart that year. In 94, he fell apart. 95 is when he had just annihilated everything.
Yeah.
So he only focused on the race, and that's it. He focused everything how much water he would drink, especially at Leadville. Any aid station, he had timed everything for as much food, as much water to only carry that. And what I remember is he would do 2 or 3 sips every 10 minutes. And in 2004, he had pacers, but he dropped them both. So the next year he went with nothing and just focused. He would go to Leadville, train all the time. And then I mean, it just blew away the field, broke Paul's record. I think it was 17:16 because I paced Paul in the year before when Matt fell apart. I just remember waiting for Paul for my turn to pace him, and Matt was, way far ahead. And Scott Jurek was there that year.
Okay. Wow.
So we get to the turnaround point, and I'm going first, and Matt's already been gone. Paul gets in there, sits on a chair, and is just hunched over. It's like Matt has just crushed him. And then Jurek shows up, gets his stuff, leaves, and Paul's still sitting there. It's like, Paul, we need to go. And then we catch Jurek on the top of the mountain of Hope Pass. And then went into the aid station, me and Jurek's pacer. I went and grabbed stuff. Jurek's pacer went over and threw up. Paul goes by. And I had so much trouble trying to catch him, going down the hill to the trails and all that stuff. He was just flying. And then our other friend, Twin Lakes, took him from there to Fish Hatchery. So I'm waiting over there, and Matt never comes out. Paul comes out. It's like it's like, what happened to Matt? So then it's my turn. But the pace, my friend Kelly, is like saw some wetness on the ground. So like Matt had peed or something. It's like, we're getting close because it's fresh. And that's the story he told me when he came out of the tree. He's like, yeah, we caught Matt back there. And then that was it. And Matt he wouldn't quit. He basically stiff-legged the whole way from 25 miles in.
Wow. Dude, what a monster.
And I just had to take the wrath in 2005.
Yeah. So it was 2005, the year you got second, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, can you talk about what it was like racing him in 2005? Like, were you guys...
Was it a race?
Well, that's the question. Like, were you guys with each other at all, or is he's gone?
At the start.
Okay.
Maybe 10 feet, 20 feet.
And then he was gone.
I mean, the light just went away. I mean, obviously we're running all the road together, and probably people are staying close somewhat.
Yeah.
Because it's just easy and you're hyped up. Then you hit the dirt road. Have you been out there?
Yeah.
So you hit that dirt road, and then gets darker. There's no town lights, and Matt's light just slowly fades away. And Jeffrey Teagues, who's a Special Forces, I think he was, Green Beret, goes with him. So he follows Matt for a long time. If you look at some of the splits, he's closer. And then my thing was to run with Joe Kulak. You know that name?
No, I don't.
Very big ultra runner back then, because he had won a bunch of stuff, very consistent. And that was the goal, was just to stay with Joe the whole time. Started going up Hagerman Pass.
Yep.
And it just seemed so slow running with those guys, or running with him. I was like, I'm not going to walk. So I just slowly left him, and then got to Fish Hatchery, and I was in third. And I can't remember the other guy's name. He was a postman out of Denver. So slowly I caught up closer to him, and then he had pulled away. Teagues didn't fall apart until going up Hope Pass. And then Matt was coming down Hope Pass when I was still going over.
Holy shit.
Which was crazy. Got to the turnaround. And Teagues caught back up to me. Brian something caught me. And then, so then I was in fifth, I guess third, fourth, and fifth were all together at the turnaround. Coming back up, they all dropped me. And then some English guy passed me, and finally got to the top. And so my friend Kelly, the one who helped pace him, he's pacing me, or somebody else paced me at the time. He helped pace me later. Jeff Prada paced me. And we're just going up, and got to Twin Lakes and just kept going. And then eventually, I think I caught maybe Teagues up Hope Pass, and then caught Brian after Twin Lakes. And then it caught the British guy somewhere later, and then caught second place on the top of, not Hagerman Pass, but the actual flat area before you go down.
Okay. Yeah. So
there.
after you're over power line then.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Right before you go down.
Yep.
So we see these lights, flashlights, and we're It's like, okay, we just need to gather ourselves. And it's like, we're going to go by him. We're going to go by him quick, in a 100-mile race, because he's not moving very
Oh,
quickly.
yeah.
So we go by and we started going down. And I think I gained, I don't know, I think he was maybe 7 minutes behind me when I got to the aid station. And when I was there for a little bit, or maybe not that much, I'm not sure, I left and he wouldn't leave until they made him some soup. So he sat there for who knows how long. And then I beat him by 13 minutes. I think he ran 19:15.
Okay.
So Matt was already showered, in bed.
Hanging out. Yeah. So he was not at the finish line when you got there. No.
It was 11:03 at night.
Okay. Wow. Oh my God, man. Like, did you guys share stories after the fact? Like what, because that must've been pretty exciting for
The big thing with Matt is, I don't know if you know Larry Miller.
No.
So Larry Miller is very close to Matt. He ran against Prefontaine back in the day.
Oh, wow.
But I was at the grocery store that week afterwards, and he walks up to me and goes, "So, did you hear how Matt did?" I said, "Yeah." Didn't even know I ran the race.
Oh my God.
How sad is that?
That's
and I was
rough,
with my
dude.
wife at the time. It was like, this is sad. But I think I have the biggest gap loss in history of Leadville.
Holy shit. Do you really? Well, I mean, it's against the
From
greatest.
first and second.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
the biggest time gap.
Wow.
Otherwise, the second one, I think, is Harry Harcrow, which I ran into him. We were running one day and we were talking about it and figuring out the time. I think I got him by 3 minutes when he lost to Anton.
Okay.
But yeah, and then whenever I see Matt, it's like, so he'll always ask me, "You ever run Leadville?" I mean, that's the ongoing joke every time I see him. So
Oh my God. What a crazy story, especially being on the other side of that. Like that's, I mean, it's a piece of history, It's just interesting to me too, that it took David Roche this year with all the shoe technology on his side it was a hot year still, but like shoe technology, gel technology, like where the nutrition's come a long way. Yeah. It's crazy that it's taken this long. It just goes to show you like, what a crazy iconic record,
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, that was power bars back then.
right. Is that what? Yeah. What were you guys eating? It was all power bars and like solid foods and stuff like that.
Power bars and maybe Gatorade.
Oh my God.
I had a bowl of pasta at Twin Lakes going out. Otherwise, it was all power bars. And then Gatorade Endurance.
Yeah.
Back then had 5 electrolytes against the 3 of Gatorade now. And Matt used to carry like a old Gatorade bottle under his armpit, the big tall ones. So when we did San Juan, he beat me there by a lot and broke Dave Mackey's record.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he had put power bars and they took it to, I think it was Slumgullion, or I'm trying to think which one is which, the 30-mile mark roughly.
Okay.
So he gets his bottle and the stuff kind of fermented, not realizing it because it's sitting out in the sun.
Oh yeah.
For how long? He gets it, takes off, starts drinking, and it's just rancid, he said. And so he has to keep drinking it, otherwise you're going to break down. And you got 10 miles to the next aid station. And but when he finished, he was throwing up a lot, I guess, and he was trying to eat charcoal, I guess, to settle the stomach.
Oh man.
So, and then we started training afterwards, not too long after that, because it still felt good. We were still strong. I got second, so you're on that high of that. He broke the record, and he never recovered completely. So that's when he fell apart in 2004.
Interesting. Can you talk about, I've never actually been on that San Juan Solstice course. Can you talk, because you have a long history with that race, including winning it. Can you talk a little bit about just the course itself and your experiences there? I mean, what you've kind of done on there?
I'd say the first one, 2003. It's really nice at the beginning. It's just a gravel road, and then it hits the trail, and then you start to slowly go crossing the water. I don't know, maybe 20 something times. And it is so freaking cold. Every once in a while, they'll have a rope across to try to help you.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot different from, because I did it this year, or last year, sorry. And way different from what I've remembered. I was like, this is so different. The beginning part, once I got to the 22-mile aid station, everything was just like what I remembered. But like this year, and I wasn't sure if I was going to race, kept going back and forth. And then I was struggling before I even got to the climb. So after 16, everything just fell apart kind of thing. So I was walking all the way up to 22, walking all the way to the flat. Every once in a while I'd run. Got to the 30-mile aid station. I wasn't eating much in between. I think I had a bunch of Coke here and there and maybe one bite of something. And got to the, I think it's 37-mile mark. And then it's all downhill. But the first part is kind of a lot of rocks on it, even though it's a dirt road. Then it cleared out and it's like nothing was bothering me anymore. I feel like I hadn't run. I was going, I don't know, I was going 6 something pace, and I just kept catching everybody that was walking by me earlier. And I got to that station, and then everything was great after that. It
Back
was
to life.
like a whole nother world off of just Coke, and I think I had a part of a banana. So, otherwise, I think I've done it 8 times was this year. I think it was 9th, 2nd, 1st, 6th. I'm not sure what the other 2 or one of them was like really rough. Like I was going to drop, and Paul DeWitt was going to pace his dad, showing he could pace the last 10 miles. So he said, Dan, just wait for my dad to show up and you can run in with us. Because I was going to stop running. I was going to quit. So I just did that, and actually, I still finished. So that was a long one.
Wow.
But it's just an amazing course. I mean, you're so high up, and then when you're running on the tops, you think you're somewhere, and then it drops, and you can see different ways to go. And like the year I won, there was a part where we're going down the hill, and they had to use a rope because there was no trail anywhere. It was all solid snow, and you can't see anything. So I had to use the rope to go down it. That was an awesome year. And then you're up on top, and it's like mush, and it seemed like 20 feet of walls on the snow before you get to the 22-mile aid station. It was just amazing just to go through and look at it.
So cool. Yeah, that race is iconic, and I would urge any listeners or anybody that's listening to this to definitely check it out. I mean, now there's a wait list, and it's a little, but if you show up day of, they usually let everybody in, right? More or less.
If there's enough spots, yeah, you just got to show up and be there.
Yeah, that's so cool though. It's a late June race, somewhere in June, right?
Yeah, because when I won, it was the day before Father's Day.
Okay,
so the awards were on Father's Day. What was cool?
Nice.
And my kids ran with holding my hands.
Oh man,
at least 2 of them. The other one was too little.
That's a good memory. That's amazing. Yeah. Can you talk a little, one of the things I was interested in asking you was, because you've had so many lives in the sport. Back in the day, like when you and Matt and like you guys were kind of in a lot of ways like the top of trail and ultra running, like what was the sponsorship like world like? Were people approaching you? Were brands approaching you at any point? Or was that like more like not a thing at that point in time?
Not in my world, at least. I mean, Matt was sponsored. I think he was the #1 mountain runner for 10 years.
Yeah.
He was by Fila, so he got paid that way, or he'd get paid appearance fee, or prize money, stuff like that. And then because of Fila, I was trying to get a training type of group where they were getting a certain amount of runners, and those specific runners, like I'd beat them all on the peak. I just didn't hear about it. And 2, when I've done something like that, and then you might not hear me do anything good for a little bit. But they got on that testing thing with Fila. Didn't know that. Never heard of it. Didn't know there was anything beyond going to Europe. Never heard of an ultra yet. Didn't know they existed. So yeah, never had any offer. And that's still a dream to keep pushing, hoping somebody will want to give me something in the sense it makes me feel wanted.
Yeah.
Like being an ambassador is not quite the same in my world. I've had a few ambassador stuff, but it's very hard because I want the want and not just doing it for somebody. So that I keep chasing. Even though I'm this old, I still chase that. And maybe if I do good enough at this age and maybe I make a big difference, maybe somebody gives you, even if it's just shoes or whatever, and puts that, like I ran a little bit for Reebok out of college with V-Hill, because V-Hill is a global consultant for Reebok. Mm-hmm. So not quite the same. I just got some clothes and some shoes, but after that, it was not anything that I'd ever heard of.
It's interesting. It's just interesting to me, like how now with so many brands in the space, now it's a different game. Like where they're always giving out free stuff, and it's a lot easier to get it. But dude, that's interesting to hear. And any brands listening to this, I've got a few we can get you talking to after this. Get some shoes your way. What do you like to run?
But I got to run well,
and
I got to keep consistent.
What do you like? What kind of shoes are you running these days?
Like I did San Juan, and I did Adios Pro 3.
Yeah.
I put a trail bottom on it, so I'll modify a lot of shoes that I have, shave them down, make them skinnier, make them lighter. I've done that for Joe sometimes, and then modify. Like I have Hageland's deformity.
Yeah.
So I've had to modify all my shoes. I used to have it on my left foot, so I'd modify the shoe on the left. So I have holes in the other shoes, the older shoes, and I got rid of that one by hitting it with a massager and freezing it.
No shit.
And then I got it on this side, so all my shoes have holes on this side. But that one...
Have you been in pain, like running in pain for a long time?
Very long time, yeah.
Yeah. Because Ace, do you know Ace? He just got his...
I talked to him about it.
Hageland's like ripped out 2 days ago or something like that.
Zach had it done.
Yeah.
Andy Wacker had it done.
It's a very common thing, yeah.
Alex
Nichols, he had one too?
It was either Achilles or Hageland's. I think it's Hageland's because we talked about that. But he was back in 6 months. Wacker was back quick, and Zach took roughly 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Where he could get out of bed and just go run without pain.
Oh my
It took him that long.
Zach's journey has been incredible. That's been one to follow, man. I was always hoping, I was a little bummed that he decided to like settle in Oregon. I was kind of hoping he would like make roots back here and like.
He looked at a property back by Peter Maskimo.
Oh, did he really?
Somewhere over there.
Yeah.
But didn't get it.
It would have been nice to have had him like in town. Yeah. So Hageland, so you've modified a lot of your shoes to kind of deal with that. Do you still run in pain, or is it not that bad?
Like I can sit here and have pain, but it doesn't last very long anymore.
Okay.
Not like before. It was hard to train because I didn't want to go out and run because it's going to hurt to start. And just dealing with that every day kind of made it hard to want to run. But I had got insurance last year. I hadn't had it for I don't know how long, since I think when I was married. Otherwise, I had it one more other time. And I told him I didn't want to stop running. So the choices were wear a boot every night, PRP. And if none of that works, then they got to go in and shave it. So I was like, I'll do the boot first. So I wore that for 10 months straight. And then once in a while, I would take it off just to see and sleep with it. And sometimes it would hurt, but not all the time anymore. So I don't wear the boot anymore. But I sit every day when I'm at home, watch TV or something. I roll it on a spike ball, like a pin.
Yeah.
Like a ballpoint pin type of thing, that kind of pointed.
Damn.
And I'll just roll it on it. I had to get used to that because there's a little spot that if you touched, it was to the extreme pain. I could touch around it. If I flex my foot, I could hit that spot for whatever reason.
Weird.
So I just keep, I do that all day, every day. I'll have my foot like this against something. If you're standing, it's fine because you're already flexing it.
Yeah.
I'd be at work all day and it would hurt all day, aching until I started doing that boot. And it's made it more tolerable. So I can deal with it because I'm used to the pain of being worse. So it'll come and go when I'm running with Tina and those guys. But then it doesn't stay very long. It used to be really bad when I had to go up something steep. So one foot would be more on the toe and the other one would try to more relax.
Yeah.
So I always looked like I was limping and it would hurt. So.
Oh, man. Yeah, I fortunately have not had any yet, but I would imagine over time, like you eventually get them. So they're
hopefully not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you know, Allie Mack. Have you talked to Allie
Yeah,
Mack?
yeah, oh yeah.
So I fixed her shoes for Pikes when she was doubling.
Okay.
She had, I'm guessing it's the Bursa really came out. It looked like my thumb sticking out of a heel.
No shit. Oh.
So she's like, Dan, can you fix my shoes? So I came down there for the awards and fixed her shoes for the marathon.
Wow.
And it didn't bother her, which you would think it would still be a problem.
Yeah.
And she had no problem the next day.
That's interesting. Yeah, Allie's a legend, man. I was so happy she came back this year to run the Ascent. Mm-hmm. That was good to have her back, especially after like OCC and all that. I think she said she's going to be back a lot more coming this year.
She moved away.
I know another one that moved away, man. We got to get that's the whole point of like community is to get everybody back, have this big Colorado Springs running contingent. I feel like this area is so slept on. Like everybody, don't get me wrong, Boulder's cool. A lot of listeners and friends live in Boulder, but like I feel like the Springs is so slept on for just our access that we get and then the people. I think we've got some really good people here.
We definitely have a lot more that way.
Yeah.
They have more, I would say, more elites.
Yeah.
More focus there.
Yeah.
Because I was there 1 year I left school because it was too expensive and moved up to Boulder with a friend who was a Cat 2 cyclist, but he ran the steeplechase. He said, hey, you can come live with us. So I moved there and just bike raced that year. Not a lot of running. And then did the World Duathlon Championships. So that was fun. But when I was there was more professional athletes per capita, they say, than the whole United States.
Wow.
You had Shorter, you had tennis players, you had Saeed Awida, Gary, that one that owns Runner's Roost.
Yeah.
He would come here and train, Steve Cram, all those guys.
Everybody. Wow.
Then you had all the big cyclists too.
Yeah.
7-Eleven was here.
Wow. It's crazy, and that's the thing. Like I don't know, the contingent here is growing, but like, yeah, there's just, and even in the trail scene now, I mean, everybody who wants to be part of the scene either lives in Flagstaff or Boulder, it's growing more in Salt Lake and other places, but yeah, it is interesting, I don't know. And I just, one of the things that I really enjoy is just we've got a lot of elites. We're getting more elites in this area. So there's more people to train with, and it's kind of like a growing contingent. But yeah, in Boulder, I feel like you've got somebody to run with every day that's going to push you, which is difficult. Can you talk a little bit about, I know you've done quite a few USATF trail champs. Can you talk a little bit about some of the ones that you've done?
I think the first one, I did US Cross when I was in college. That was in San Francisco. I think with what park is Golden State Park, maybe. Pat Porter, do you know that name?
I do.
So I'd run with Pat back in the day because he was at Adams. But that was his last victory ever. That was his 8th victory. So he had the 8 in a row.
Yeah.
That was his last one. And that rained the whole time. It was terrible. Fun, but terrible in that world of muddy stuff. And I don't think I did another one. And back then it was TAC. It was TAC.
Really?
Yeah. Because I still have the little form I have with my name on it.
That's cool.
After that, I think it was the U.S. half marathon champs in Moab.
Yeah.
And I had won the Masters there. And then, I won the U.S. 50 mile, I think, first in Nueces, Rock Springs, Texas, where they just had Bandera. Yeah. They had to move Bandera to there.
Oh, no shit. I didn't know that. You won Bandera back in the day, didn't you?
No, I was third.
Third. I'm sorry.
I was leading. And then somebody had gone off course and somehow got ahead of me.
Wow.
And never passed. Nick Clark was the one that won. Yeah.
Legend. Another legend. What year was that? Was it 15?
2010, I think.
It was 10. Okay. Wow. We'll get into that one next. There's just so much here for.
But those two were the same year. So I think the 50 miles first because the other one is in November. So I won the 50 there and then came back and won the half marathon. And then that's the only thing actual master's titles I have. Otherwise I have, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 age group.
Yeah.
And then the Colorado 50K champs, I won 2016. That was, the outright race, but I had that. But and the month before I had won Behind the Rocks 50 mile.
Yeah. Or
50K and set the record. That was awesome. And I was just coming back I got a blood clot in rhabdo from doing a CrossFit workout. Not that I ever did it, but
really,
because I don't do anything upper body, and I didn't do anything, especially then.
Yeah.
And it was so bad that I couldn't pick my arms up. I could lift my arms straight, but I couldn't grab to wash my hair. I had to bend my head down because I couldn't get past here. To answer the phone, it's like this. Kind of leaning over to my hand.
Dude, you were messed up.
It was so bad. It hurt so bad. And then 10 days later, I was just tapping the counter and it felt weird. And it started to fill with fluid right under my forearm.
Wow.
And had a friend tell me, you need to go. I went to a chiropractor friend. And sometimes you have ducts that fill up or that clog, and he was doing all that, and stopped by the store next to us and just didn't want to go back to work right then. So I just went in there, and her friend is a vascular nurse. And she's like, we need to take you, go see my boss. Well, I didn't have insurance then either. So she took me to the hospital, or took me to him, and he said, you need to go to that emergency. So they admitted me there. But I had it right in my shoulder. So I must have tore something.
Ooh, okay.
So luckily it didn't go to my heart right then.
Yeah.
So then I couldn't run for quite a few months, but because I was in shape, they said it went away. It went away a lot faster.
What did they do? Stick you on blood thinners, or?
Yes, right in the stomach, which is
man,
terrible because I don't have much fat. It's very thin skin. And my girlfriend at the time would use the needle because she was a diabetic at one point. She had to do that. You're pinching skin like this, and you're constantly doing each little muscle. And because I was swollen from, if you look at a six pack, the second muscle was swollen all the way up. Yeah. My body, my arms were huge. My hands were huge. I was all buff kind of thing, but not really. So they only had those two little spots to prick me.
Yeah.
It was so painful.
That's terrible.
But luckily, it only lasted, I think, 2.5 months. They told me it was gone. So then I went back to running. And then that year is when I won Behind the Rocks, and then won the Greenland 50K. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about Greenland. So the nature of this, or the lesson here is no CrossFit workouts. There we go.
Or at least do something prior.
Oh man, dude, and it's so interesting. Like the USATF, how long have they had USATF trail champs in Colorado? Is this has been going on for a while, or is it pretty?
I don't know if they've had a US other than cross country. They have. I don't know if they've had a US one. They might have had it in Boulder, but sometimes it's club cross.
Okay.
Or Masters Cross. I don't know how many times U.S. Cross has been here.
Gotcha.
But as far as trail-wise, they've had the trail, the Moab, now the Moab. Went to the marathon after that. So that's why I won just a couple more titles there, age group ones. And then last year, I think they went back to the half marathon.
I think it was, yeah.
And then the other one's on the East Coast now. Yep.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's crazy that we're having this year as a selection year for Worlds, and everybody's getting ready for that for Broken Arrow or soon to be. Do you have any races that you haven't done yet that you think you want to go do?
All of those.
Yeah.
I haven't ventured out too far.
Yeah.
I've done a few that are farther away, but I work 6 days a week, and to get in some races is not very easy anymore. Yeah. Not like back in the day where you could just go sign up. So much different that way.
It is. The game has changed significantly. That's why, I don't know. I tend to dabble more. I dabble entirely in the sub ultra realm where it's a little bit easier to get into stuff. Like Broken Arrow and the Rut obviously is difficult. But I can't tell you the last time I tried to get into a lottery or something like that, just because I just don't feel like dealing with that. It's a process now. Do you ever try to get into Western states or anything like that?
I've done that.
Have you?
Yeah, I signed up one time and I got in.
Did you really?
Yeah, we were doing a fat ass at Nick Clark's house.
Yeah.
So it was me, Nick, from what I can remember, Dylan Bowman. I can't think of, they call him Young Money. I can't think. He was second at North Face.
Dakota?
19th, Dakota Jones.
Yeah.
So he was there, but not racing because he had just come back the next week.
Yeah.
He was there, and a few other bigger names. I can't remember.
You're top of the food chain guys, man.
So we're out running, and we're just doing this fat ass run with Nick, and somebody was out on the course, and we ran by, and they told us, "Hey, you got into Western," and that's how I found out. So,
oh my God, what was that experience like, man?
Terrible.
Yeah,
I drove. I think it was 17 hours there by myself. Slept in my car. Beginning of the race was fine. I think at mile 15. It was like I was done. I get to the aid station. I think that one's run all by doctors, medical people. They just said, here, just drink this coconut water, do all this other stuff, take the sodium, and you should come back. It didn't come back until a mile to go.
Oh, you suffered through the whole thing. Oh my God. I didn't see it in your results. That's why I didn't know.
It was terrible. I think it was 27 hours.
Oh my God.
So that was the longest I'd ever run in my life, time-wise.
Yeah.
Before that, I think it was the 19. I don't think I'd been 21, I think is the longest I'd ever run.
Wow.
But 6 more hours.
Well, the thing is like you're training with and running with like these top of the food chain guys. So you must have had like competitive aspirations going into that race, right? Like
Always.
Yeah.
No matter what.
So that's got to be like ego beat down, like having to have to deal with that. I'm surprised you didn't drop. I would have dropped. Save the legs for another day.
I thought about it maybe at mile 60.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any pacers, and I was just there by myself and some lady, Roberta. So I didn't know who she was. And she goes, "Hey, do you want a pacer?" And I'm like, "No, I'm okay. I'm fine." And she bugged me for a little bit. And then I said, "Okay." So she paced me the whole way from there in.
Wow.
And, she was very encouraging. It was great to have her there. Made a huge difference.
I'm sure.
And then with a mile to go, it's like you're coming down the road, and it's like nothing bothered me. I mean, I got down into to the 5s coming down the last mile. It just felt that good.
Wow.
But before that, no. For whatever reason, it's just everything changed.
Is the course just like brutal? Like, I mean, it was obviously between the heat and everything, or was it just a bad day on your end? Like, what do you?
Bad day on my end.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be a fall apart at 15 miles.
Right.
No matter what, I shouldn't.
Right. It's interesting. Did you feel like, I mean, obviously it's hindsight's 2020, and it's interesting now seeing like Hannah Allgood and a lot of other folks, and we've had people over the years like Alex and everybody around Western States. Like, I feel like there's like the Colorado Springs is a decent training ground to be able to get ready for a race like that.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
We got the altitude. We have so many different trails along the whole piece in the front area.
Yeah.
We have the back. We have all the collegiate peaks. I mean, you have everything here.
Yeah. Speaking of that, so you are very well known in Colorado. I knew your name before, like I even knew you existed in the sense of Strava.
I was going to say, you're going to say Strava, aren't you?
Strava. Yeah. You're the Strava man. I mean, Dan Vega's, and then money signs and all this stuff. Can you talk to me about because all right, so folks listening to this, if you ever run in Colorado Springs, you're going to come across a segment with Dan's name on it. Where did that come from? Was this like you just create these and like have fun with it? Because like I love them. It's always good, interesting, like Climb of Doom or like what is it? Dan Vega's Hidden Super Climb. You forgot really.
That was the first one, and then somebody made 2 other ones come from a different angle from it.
Oh yeah,
but yeah. So there was 2 girls used to run with once in a while. We'd go out and stuff like that. Always call me Van Vega. So basically, the D and the V are switched. So when I started doing the Strava, which I wish I had it when I was here in 2005, when I was running that fast, I just started making some segments, and then it was always that name and the $sign. Because every once in a while, I'd put out there on Facebook, if you want to go run, I get off at 6:00 at the time, and it was always dark. And every once in a while, I say, "Bring money," as a joke. So over time, people was like, "Oh yeah, you got to bring money and stuff like that." So it became something. So, and then I would put $signs behind certain things that I would say. But in Strava, it's the $sign and then the year that I made the segment. Unless I see it later, if I can remember when I first did it. Like I have one, it's used to be the dirt parking lot on top of, I can't think, St. Mary's.
Okay.
The main parking lot. So from there, from the gate all the way up until there's a fence there now, but it hits a road. And I never went beyond that part. So on a tree, which I probably shouldn't have done, I scratched in the year. The year and the time I ran. So like the first one was, I think, 54 minutes. And over the time, I would see that, and I would just write that if I ran faster or something like that, or a different time. And that was back in 94. So a Strava segment, it says 94, which obviously it didn't exist back then. And then sometimes I'd use it as a kind of a standard to, if I could run faster, hopefully I'll do better in this race. So yeah, I got down to, en route, I did Rosa, which I didn't know Rosa existed. And one of my friends did it, and he came down to my work that day, and I think I was talking to him. So then I wrote down all his splits, every mile, sorry. And then it's like, well, I think I can run faster than him. Darren Thomas, I think he had taken it from Darren I think I've talked to Darren. He doesn't remember it, but he was really young.
Yeah.
And maybe it was that's what he ran, but not on Strava or no recording of it. But he came back and said, yeah, I beat Darren's time. So I wrote all that down. I got off work at 6. It's still daylight. And I started running the miles as we're going. And I'm like, frick, I'm a minute ahead of him already. All right, now I'm 2 minutes or whatever. I kept gaining more and more. And he was walking some of those sections like, I don't need to walk. So I gained so much. And by the time I got to the top, I think I beat it by, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes, maybe something like that. I don't remember exactly. And then, but when I got back to turn around to go, when I was coming back down, it basically got dark right after I left. And so I had to run, I had to use a headlamp. So that was hard through the rocks where that top part is really bad.
I still haven't been on it.
No?
No. It's on my list.
And then Joe later, I can't remember, maybe 3 years ago, it was me, Joe, Ben Payne.
I know that name. Yeah.
Guy. And then some other WCAP, or not his WCAP, one of the Kenyans, Joe's friend. Yeah. And he went and Joe wanted me to take him, show him how it goes and everything else. So he started and I was leading the whole time and they're just following me. And there was a part, I don't know, maybe 2.5 miles in, I had to go to the bathroom, unfortunately. So they just kept going, and luckily they found the route because I explained it. And he goes and beats mine, which I think Ted Schultz broke it by a minute earlier. Okay. I think, earlier. And then Joe dropped it another 8 minutes. It's like, oh my God.
Of course he did.
Yeah. So I made the segment going, maybe the round trip of it.
Yeah.
I think somebody had already made the one going up. But yeah, this is...
You know, my favorite one you've ever made is, I think it's Cheap Tricks for Bumps, I think is what it's called. Up the incline, down Long's Ranch. I think that's what it's called.
I don't think that's mine. Is it?
Yeah. Oh, I got it started on my Strava. Huh. Oh, yeah, man.
Because I've seen those words on something else or similar to it.
Yeah, I think it's on it. I'm almost 100% sure. I'd have to look for it, but yeah, I'll look for it after the episode. But I think it's one of yours. Yeah. It's up the incline and then down Long's Ranch, and it's like perfect, like 7 miles with like 3,000 feet. It's a great route. I shouldn't tell people this because I don't want them to go run it.
And then, you wouldn't believe how many people take my segments. Oh, they'll go look for them.
Oh yeah,
and then I'll get emails upon emails upon. Like I have so many crowns. I mean, I might be the only one on them, because it's kind of my run type of thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll make certain pieces out of a big run. I wasn't doing that before necessarily, but I was like, people are making all these small. I didn't want to make anything tiny.
Yeah.
Unless it was very specific and it really was a big deal. So maybe a 1/4 mile, but it could be something like, let's see if I can go that 1/4 mile.
Yeah.
Which is not the same. But yeah, the 0.1, 0.2 is like, I don't know if they're generated on some of them.
I guess they are. I've only ever made one. It was the Blodgett from St. Francis, like up the road and then connecting to Blodgett, because I like that road descent as opposed to starting on like the single track trail that's like kind of rooted out and rutted and nasty. That's the only one I've ever made.
And then I have some that I know I didn't make.
Yeah.
But
your name just shows up.
Look on it. No, there's an actual, we'll just say like your sandalwood musk.
Yeah,
we'll just say it's called that. And then I'll look at it and you touch it and it says you can edit it. I was like, I didn't do that.
Interesting.
And it's like, okay, I'm just going to change it. I don't know if they just like Strava gave it to me or something.
It's possible.
Ooh, like give it here. Let's give it to that guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I wonder, like, do you have any idea like how many you've made over the years? Because I wonder if you're like there's a ranking of like this guy, like Dan has made, I don't know, like more than any other person, which is kind of cool. I don't know.
I have starred, I think 1,200. I think I've made, it might be at 1,000 now.
Wow.
900 and something.
That's crazy. That's got to be up there. That's got to be top 10, man, for people making Strava like route. I love it because I think it adds to the community, to me, because it's like, it's I don't know. Like I said, I knew your name before you even knew I existed. So it's just interesting. Like
it's the only way I can get people to talk to me, because I get emails from them. Like there's a couple college kids in Bear Creek, because that's where I'm at. And I think during the summer they come here home and then they go back to school somewhere else. There was one, I got an email and it's like, oh, thanks, Dan Vega, for making all these cool things. But they were going after all the little ones that I made in there.
Those bastards.
So I get emails every day while they were there training.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's cool that they do that. It's like, but I still want some of them back.
Oh, for sure.
I took, I think, 2 back last week, and I took one this week from somebody.
He's on a rampage. There you go.
Lucky it wasn't one of them doing, or one of the ones they took, because they're like in college. Obviously,
Yeah.
Quicker.
The ones I really care about are the climbs. And now I'm getting more in I'll go for like an up, down, or descent. Like Blodgett, I really care about. Like I would love to get a top 5 time on Blodgett all like round trip.
Let me guess, Joe has that one?
Joe's got it. Yeah. He's got them all. Any ascent time in the springs for more or less, unless it's the incline, then Joe's got it, So yeah, damn Remy.
He doesn't have the perfect 10.
What's the perfect 10?
It is section 16, the old, or it's still there. It's 666 before they cut it off, and now they have the turn back. So it goes around. And that piece, when you come back to the section 16 turnout, it's called the game changer.
Yeah.
And then if you do the whole thing back to the start of the section 16, it was a perfect 10 miles, at least by Strava. Sometimes you do it again, it's not 10 miles perfect. So that's what it's called.
Is that yours or John?
No, I don't know.
Does John have it? I'm sure John has it. Maybe if it's not Joe's, it's John's.
It's not Joe. John who? I'm trying to think.
Aziz. John.
Oh, Jonathan. I don't know if Jonathan's done that one. He's run fast on everything, but
yeah, he's a monster.
It's somebody else. Like a lot of people that come back from college or they visit, and they'll go do these things. Like, and you look at it's like, oh, look how fast that guy is.
Who's this guy? Yeah.
Why is he here?
Yeah. No, a lot of times it's the cross country kids, man, from like visiting from out of like one's like Colby Schultz is a great example. Like he's nasty. I think he lives in Monument, but like runs cross country for like Colorado State or something like that. And he'll come back and rip stuff up in Monument and South. So there's a lot of guys. It's competition, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun.
And I still want to try to go after some of them. We'll see. Like Ace for a while was taking so many.
Oh, he's another one. I should have. I got to give flowers to Ace. Dude. As far as Strava goes, there's no one that puts more like work into it besides you than Ace, man. Oh my God.
Yeah, because he's taking my stuff. Yeah, that's the work he puts in.
He's a monster.
Before I ever met him, he said something about, and I think either answered back or I sent him something through Strava. And I said, and he goes, well, we'll go back out and get it. I was like, well, do you know how old I am? And he said, okay, if that's the case, we're going to do the age graded? Yeah. So I was like, okay, I got you by 20 minutes then. Take it now. No. By that standard, he wouldn't be able to touch.
No.
I guess it depends how it's graded.
Yeah. That's funny, the age grid.
Because I think I got almost 30 years on him.
I've only ever taken one segment off of him, like a long time ago.
I've done that too. And then he went back and took it.
Yeah, he didn't go back and get mine.
No.
I'd like to see him try. I'm not even going to tell him what it is. Hopefully he's forgotten.
Do you ever just look at when you look at the course records?
Yeah.
Like I think I have, 40 pages.
Oh my God. Of crowns on Strava?
Of crowns.
See, yes. Like I'm very predictable. Dude, I train in like the same places. Like for instance, like I spend a lot of time on the incline. I spend a lot of time running flat stuff in like the same place. Mm-hmm. So like I'll have my crowns and like I got to get out and do more trails. Like I'm kind of predictable and boring. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, no, and I'm sure Ace too has like, I can't imagine how many crowns he has.
I need to look at his.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I got to step it up, man. I'm also very funny, like cagey with my Strava. Like I keep it like locked down. Like, you know what Brian Whitfield is? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the same way. Like he doesn't let anybody see his training, and
Joe doesn't either.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
Joe takes a crown.
Yep,
you don't see it very often.
That's exactly what I do. Unless I'm either on the top 10 of a segment or taking the crown, then I'll make it public. But other than that, I don't. I usually keep it. I don't know. Maybe it's like insecurity. I don't know. I'm bad with that.
Unless you're just trying to be more secretive of.
It's
trying to not to let people do what you do training wise.
Yeah,
Like if I did it, it wouldn't make any difference. Yeah. I mean, at least in my age, when you're talking about the younger runners, which is just like toward the end of last year, everything was private.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'd run with a group, Tina, Jesse, Mike, and Toby is the main little 5 of us.
Yeah.
So I think it was Mike and Jesse first because they went to school and grew up together. Tina was younger, and then Tina started running because the bet. So then it was those 3, and then Toby got in, and Tina for the longest time thought she didn't want to invite me because she thought me and Toby hated each other. So she told us not too long ago on running. It's like, no, we're frenemies. It's all about racing. When you're racing, it's different, but you're still friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she thought I hated him.
Oh, really?
So then I got in the group. Then it's been us 5, and then little things expand here and there because I know more people outside their group and a lot of different groups. So like Brandon Stepanovich.
Yeah.
So he'll come. Yeah. When Peter's here, he'll show up sometimes. Ryan Hafer, do you know who that is?
Yes.
So there's another big
boy,
but
good
older
little
but
group.
bigger boy. Yeah, still fast.
Yeah.
And then you'll get a lot of different ones here and there.
People come and go. Yeah, I've got a little contingent now. It's funny, like when I lived in Monument, I used to train very solo, never with anybody. And then I came down here and met a bunch, like just kind of found community and made a lot more friends that are, I'm very competitive with and like also train at a high level. So it's good to have like a nice little group of guys and gals to run with, and to kind of, I like it to test yourself too. I'm like, I like to see like, all right, where's Brad at? Or where's this person at? Where's that person at? Because, racing comes around and I really care about it. So I like to see like, where I'm at, when you get ready for that. But you
Ours
got
is like group. Trying to hang Tina is the one we have.
Tina's a monster, dude. So. I'm so excited. Like her career like has like really progressed, like Golden Trail and everything. Like it's amazing to see like where things are going for her. So
yeah, it's pretty annoying sometimes training with her because it's like I'm gonna do my easy day because she ran 20 miles a day before, and it's so easy depending on how much I've been running.
Yeah,
I was like, Tina, this is so damn hard, and it would hurt. And I'd like, hopefully we get to a flat part or a downhill, and then it'll be okay. I just got to get to that point first without falling off the group. Now I don't have a problem. Recently, so yeah, that's helped a lot.
Yeah, dude, she's a beast. Like I said, we've got a really good contingent of just like people in the Springs that like come and go and train here and call this place home. Yeah. What do you think you're going to get to this year? You have any one race or 2 races you think you might go to, or?
I want to go back to Behind the Rocks.
Okay, nice.
I set out to run. Like I ran 4:24, I think, when I got the record.
Yeah.
And then the girlfriend I was with at the time was training me prior, before that came. And then, so she would have me run like 22 miles. This stuff I just never did really, or really trained any time. And then it was 20 miles and it was 18 miles, but she had me do made it a segment. It's 21 miles inside of the garden. So I don't know if you ever saw the segment, The Blade.
No.
So you know where the farm is?
Yeah.
And so if you go where the farm is and you go up that little hill, and then you have that little ridge.
Yeah. Yep.
So it starts right there. It goes that way. It goes down. You make the hairpin. You go through the tree, go around. And then there's another hairpin. You come back. I think it's 0.89 or something like that. So I did 21 miles of, I think I did 2 loops of from there. You go to that hairpin and you go around the little trails around, you come back. So then she prescribed a pace, but you can't give a pace for something that does this.
Yeah.
She had it for the blade part of it. So I did 2 loops of that, did 6 loops of this, and then I crossed the road and same point. You go part of the blade and you go to the point before it turns to go to the stairs of the parking lot. I did some of those, and I came back to the blades. And each one of the blades that was coming back down, I would just pick it up a little bit. Not that she wanted me to, but I was like, I would just do a little bit. And I averaged 7:05 for 21 miles inside of going up and down. So I felt like I was ready.
Yeah.
And then I got hurt, I think 10 days prior. I pulled, it was my heel. I think that's when it started. The right heel started being an issue.
Yeah.
So it's been hurting since, that'd be 2017. And then the training was to break 4 hours. Okay. And that kid that won ran 3:58.
Okay.
And I think it's one of the kids from Western who became really big.
Just Run?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was him that ran 3:58.
He's a beast. How about that? That's crazy. Yeah, it's a great race. And there's lots of good areas to get ready for that too here. I mean, it's a lot of good opportunities to get good fitness. So that's cool. Behind the Rocks. I have not been out to Moab to race. I have to put it on my list. Yeah, never been out there.
Awesome place.
I've visited it. Like I went, I think the last time I was there was like 2015, 2016, but it's been a long time. So definitely have to go back. And
like Mad Moose, like I have on.
Yeah.
I've known them. So their kids used to play with my kids when they were little.
Yeah.
And those two kids look like they could be my kids.
The Ricks, right? Is it
Yeah.
Kayla? I think I raced Kayla Ricks this year at Cirque Series Brighton. I think she was there. Yeah. Every now and then, like I'll interact with them. Yeah.
So I kind of run for them in the sense of, I said, you should just give me some stuff. I'll wear it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, from what I remember, that's how their ambassador thing, or they had people like that do that, is for me telling them, give me something, I'll just wear it. Because I always did a lot of their races. Plus we were that close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. It's a great family organization. Like I'm glad like they have, and it's interesting too. Cause like I was thinking about this the other day, they don't put on a lot of races during the summer. A lot of it's usually like fall, winter, spring, like not a lot of stuff during the summer too, which is kind of unique in their own for what they do. So I think I might do Take 5 this year. I've been considering it, maybe going something to do in May. I don't know. Cause like I have like a long layoff between now and then. And there's no races that like really have me excited. So I gotta find something to do, man.
So 5K or 5 mile?
I think I might do the 5 mile because I'm on a 10K block right now. So I figure I'll be off the 10K block. I'll try to run my 10K PR in March and then have some fitness and figure out what to do. Probably transition to the trails after that and start getting like seriously like ready for the Cirque Series races.
What's your 10K PR?
36 and change right now. It's pretty slow actually. So I want to try and narrow it down and go sub 35 would be nice. So somewhere in that range.
You should have done rescue run.
Yeah. Two of my good friends went over and ran it. I've got good trail speed, but like really shitty road speed. So that's what I'm working on right now. It's just getting fast and like trying to,
Makes a big difference.
It does. It makes a huge difference. Yeah, I can climb really well. I mean, I've got it all like piece wise, but like all the pieces, but it's just a matter of, gaining fitness and just getting fitter. That's the name of the game. Sure. I meant to ask you, have you ever like, when you were training with Matt and stuff like that, like back in the day, like you guys didn't work with a coach. You were just kind of figuring it out, right? Like what were
Matt
you doing?
just did everything himself.
Did he really?
He understood everything. And yeah, he just did his own thing.
Yeah.
And then I just did some of the things with him.
Yeah. Wow. It's amazing. Yeah, it's I was working with coaches for a long time and then kind of this year decided like, all right, I'm going to make some changes and like, I don't know, just doing a lot of heart rate based stuff. And like, obviously I'm on a 10K block now, but I don't know. I feel like I've gotten significantly fitter in the last few months and it's made a huge difference. I'm like, we'll see where we could take this.
I don't have no concept of that kind of stuff. I mean, I understand what it is, but 10K blocks and doing all that stuff.
It's like,
I just run.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it because I did it in college, but people say all that stuff is like, yeah, I just go run or go look at a segment.
You can take it.
I mean, that's all
That's
my
fair.
training was, but way back in the day was if I could beat my time that I had set on a certain piece. And that's just me writing it down because there was no GPS, no nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm 33. I turn 34 in a few weeks. And I'm like, man, like, I mean, you obviously break the mold, and like guys in their 40s, like Joe, Max King, break the molds. But like, it's got me stressed that like I might not have my prime for a long time, and I'm gonna lose it at some point. So I'm like, I got to do everything now to try and get as good as I possibly can. But that might not necessarily be the case. Like, I feel like guys are still really good into their 40s. So
not everybody keeps going though either.
that's true too. Yeah, people give up, people quit. So I think that's a huge aspect
Life
of it.
changes.
Yeah, that's true too. I don't know. Well, Dan, I don't want to take all of your evening. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the conversation. Thank you for coming on and sharing stories and talking and helping me tell your story. Thank you.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, man. What'd you guys think? I hope you enjoyed that episode. Man, I want to thank Dan so much for coming on the podcast. It was a great conversation, great opportunity to share some stories and just hear the history of, how the great sport has progressed, from the eyes of someone like Dan, and just how he's played a role in pushing it forward. His Leadville story is crazy. Running the Leadville 100 with Matt Carpenter, training with Matt Carpenter is crazy. And just all the accomplishments and accolades Dan has had over the years. Everything from, a second place back in the day, the Pikes Peak Ascent, USATF races or USATF trail races, just so much. So I couldn't express in words just how appreciative I am for having Dan on. And, I can't wait to have him on for more conversations in the future. Really interesting guy. And, so guys, before we get going, do me a favor. If you're on Instagram, hop on Instagram and give Dan a follow. His Instagram handle is Dan, DAN 190301. It's Dan 190301. Just give him a follow, send him a DM. If you guys don't follow him already, you absolutely should. He always puts on some good reels of like him and his training group, with Christina Mascarinas, running around, some of the local cool trails in Colorado Springs. So some great photos there, as well as give him a follow on Strava. His Strava is pretty straightforward as well. It's just Dan Vega, Vega. And he's pretty popular on Strava. Like I said, he puts up some good segments and good stuff on there. So definitely give him a follow, send him some messages, let him know what you guys thought about the episode. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you guys. And guys, if you enjoyed this one, do me a favor, share it on Instagram, and give us a 5-star rating and review on Spotify or Apple or YouTube. I'd be really appreciative. We can get this one out to the world. Stay tuned. I got a special one coming for you guys on Friday. Have a great rest of your week.